Hey guys, tonight we're traveling to the far side of the world and deep into the past. To the final imperial dynasty of China, the great and powerful Qing, we're going to explore the intricate, and often terrifying, world of their justice system. But we won't be in the Forbidden City with the Emperor. We're going to be at the bottom of the ladder. A common person who has run afoul of the law will experience the journey from a simple accusation through the intimidating halls of the magistrate's court. And we'll get a glimpse of the horrifyingly creative and cruel methods the state used to punish its criminals. This is a world where justice is not about rights, but about order, and where a confession is not the end of an investigation, but its primary goal, and let's be honest, you, with your modern ideas about due process, your right to an attorney, and the concept of being innocent until proven guilty, would be in for a rude awakening. In the Qing justice system, you are basically considered guilty until you confess. The entire system is designed to help you get to that confession. Your insistence on seeing the evidence would be seen as stubbornness, a sign of a hard and unrepentant heart, which would only make your eventual punishment worse. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a simple act for you, but it's a massive encouragement for me and helps me keep creating these deep dives into the more uncomfortable corners of our shared history. And as always, I'd love to see where in the world you're listening from. Please drop your city or country and the local time in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see our global community gathering. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your world is one of predictable routines and clearly defined relationships. You are a craftsman, perhaps a potter, living in a small town in 18th century southern China. Your life is governed by the seasons, by the market days, and by the intricate rules of Confucian society. Your entire identity is based on your relationships. You are a son to your parents, a husband to your wife, a father to your children, a neighbor to the man who sells noodles next to your shop. Your life's goal is not personal happiness, but the fulfillment of your duties to your family, to your community, and to the distant, godlike emperor in Beijing. To maintain harmony, to show the proper respect, to not lose face. This is the foundation of your world. The law, you have been taught, is simply an extension of this moral order. A crime is not just a violation of a rule, it is an act that disrupts the harmony of society. It is an insult to the natural order of things, an offense against the emperor's benevolent rule, and it must be corrected often harshly to restore that balance. Your journey into the terrible machinery of this justice system begins not with a great crime, but with a small, bitter dispute. A disagreement with your neighbor over the precise boundary between your two small shops. A line in the dirt that has been a source of quiet resentment for years. One day, a heated argument erupts. Insults are exchanged. A small shove becomes a push. No one is seriously hurt, but face has been lost. Harmony has been shattered. You think it is over. An ugly moment, but one that will pass. You are wrong. Your neighbor, his anger and resentment festering, decides to take a formal step. He goes to one of the literate men in the market, a scribe, and pays him a small fee to have a formal complaint drawn up. The document is a work of art, full of florid, respectful language addressed to the great master, the local county magistrate. It details your supposed transgressions, likely exaggerated for dramatic effect, accusing you of assault, of theft of property by moving the boundary marker, and of being a general disturber of the peace. Your neighbor then takes this document to the yamen. The yamen is the imposing, walled compound at the center of your town. It is the local seat of all imperial power. It is the courthouse, the tax office, the land registry, the jail, and the home of the magistrate himself. It's great. Tiled gateway is flanked by fierce-looking stone lions, designed to intimidate all who approach. In theory, a citizen with a great and urgent grievance could run to this gate and beat upon the large complaint drum to get the magistrate's immediate attention. But this is an obscure and incredibly risky act. To beat the drum for a matter deemed trivial would result in a severe beating for disturbing the magistrate's peace. So your neighbor takes the proper quiet route. He submits his petition to a clerk. A few days pass, you hear nothing. You begin to hope the matter has been forgotten, that the magistrate has dismissed it as a petty squabble. Then, one afternoon, they come for you. They are the Yamen runners. The Yayai, they are the lowest rung of the official ladder. The local law enforcement, and they are universally feared and despised. They are not professional. Disciplined police officers, they are notoriously corrupt bullies who live not on their meager official salary, but on the squeeze, the bribes and extortions they demand from the very people they are supposed to be policing. They are known colloquially as the wolves and tigers of the Yamen. Two of them appear at the front of your small pottery shop. They are dressed in rough, dark uniforms, and they carry chains and bamboo staves. They do not speak quietly, they shout, so all your neighbors can hear. Jean de Valliere. They yell, using your name in a way that is intentionally disrespectful. Okay, maybe not Jean de Valliere. Let's say your name is Lynn. Lynn, by order of the magistrate, you are to come with us. Your blood runs cold. The customers in your shop melt away. Your neighbors poke their heads out of their own shops. Their faces a mixture of fear and delicious, gossipy excitement. Your wife runs out, her face pale with terror. This is the first punishment, the public shame. In a society built on reputation and face, to be arrested, to be publicly accused, is a catastrophic social blow. You are already being judged and condemned by your own community. The runners shove their way into your shop. One of them accidentally knocks over a stack of your newly made bowls, which shatter on the floor. "Aya, so clumsy," he says with a cruel grin. The other one gets close to you, his breath smelling of garlic and cheap wine. "This is a serious matter, Potter," he hisses. "A very serious matter. It will go much easier for you and for your family. If you show the proper respect, a small token of your sincerity, some tea money, would not go amiss." You know what he means. A bribe. But your hands are shaking, and you have little money to spare. Your hesitation is your answer. With a curse. They grab you. They slap a set of rough iron chains on your wrists. They might even lock your head and hands into a kange, a heavy wooden board that you must wear like a portable stockade. A sign of your criminality for all to see. They drag you out of your shop and into the street. The walk to the Yamen is a parade of humiliation. Everyone stops to stare. You try to hide your face. But the runners shove you forward, ensuring your disgrace is as public as possible. Children point and shout. Your neighbors whisper behind their hands. You have been torn from your ordinary life, from your world of predictable routines, and you are being dragged towards the terrifying, unknown world of imperial justice. Historians and legal scholars debate the true nature of this system. Was it, as its Confucian ideals proclaimed, a paternalistic system where the magistrate acted as a father figure, seeking to restore harmony and guide his children back to the path of righteousness? Or was it, as it so often seemed in practice, simply an instrument of authoritarian control, a machine designed to enforce order and crush any dissent through the application of overwhelming power and fear? As you are shoved through the great gates of the Yamen, the stone lion seeming to sneer down at you, you strongly suspect it is the latter. You are not taken to a pleasant waiting room. You are taken past a courtyard where you see other men being questioned, some of whom are kneeling on chains or being beaten with bamboo staves. The sounds of their cries are a preview of what might await you. You are then thrown into a small, dark, and filthy holding cell within the yamen itself. The heavy wooden door is barred behind you. You are left alone in the darkness. The air is thick with the smell of fear, of unwashed bodies, of despair. You can hear the muffled sounds of the yamen outside your cell, the shouting of guards, the distant sound of a gong, the faint cries from the interrogation yard. Your old life, your work, your family feel a million miles away. Your journey has begun. You are no longer a potter. You are a prisoner, and you are waiting to be brought before the man who is your judge, your jury, and will likely be your tormentor. You spend a day, or perhaps two, it is impossible to tell in the windowless dark and the filth and misery of the holding cell. The time is a blur of fear and regret. You hear the sounds of the yamen through the thick wooden door, a constant reminder of the implacable machinery that has swallowed you whole. Finally, the bolt on your cell door is drawn back with a deafening screech. Two yamen runners stand there, their faces impassive. The magistrate will see you now. One of them grunts. They chain your wrists again and lead you out of the prison area, through a series of courtyards, and into the main audience hall of the yamen. This is the courtroom, but it looks nothing like a place of impartial justice. It is a hall designed to project power and inspire terror. Great wooden pillars painted in dark red hold up a high, ornate roof. Silk banners covered in elegant, severe calligraphy hang from the walls. The air is thick with the heavy, sweet smell of incense burning in a large bronze censer. And at the far end of the hall, on a raised dais, sits the magistrate. He sits behind a massive desk of dark, lacquered wood. He wears his official robes, an intricate gown embroidered with the symbols of his rank, and on his head is the formal hat of a Qing official. He is the county magistrate, the Xixian. To the people of this district, he is the father-mother official, the Fumu Guan. He is the local embodiment of the distant emperor's power. He is the law. He is not alone on his platform. He is flanked by his clerks and advisors. And lining the walls of the hall are more yamen runners, leaning on their bamboo staves or holding chains, their presence a constant, silent threat. You are led to the center of the hall and forced to your knees on the hard stone floor. Your accuser, your neighbor, is already there, kneeling a short distance away. Welcome to court. The judge will also be your prosecutor. There is no jury. Your accuser's testimony is taken at face value, and the primary goal of this proceeding is to get you to admit you did it. Other than that, it's a very fair and balanced system. The trial begins. A clerk, his voice a high-pitched, reedy monotone, reads the formal complaint filed by your neighbor. The list of your alleged crimes has grown. It is no longer just a dispute over a boundary. You are now accused of being a bully, a ruffian, a man who uses threats and violence to cheat his honest neighbors, a chronic disturber of the sacred harmony of the town. You listen to this work of fiction, and a sense of helpless rage begins to bubble up inside you. When the clerk is finished, the magistrate looks down at you from his high seat. His face is a calm, emotionless mask. He is a scholar official, a man who has spent years, a lifetime, studying the Confucian classics. His entire worldview is based on the principles of order, hierarchy, and social harmony. Your alleged crime is not just against your neighbor. It is an affront to this entire cosmic and social order. Lin, he says, his voice not loud, but carrying an immense weight of authority that fills the hall. You have heard the complaint against you. The disruption of harmony is a serious offense. It is like a sickness in the body of the community. To restore the health of the community, the sickness must be purged. The first step to this cure is confession. A true and honest confession is the sign of a repentant heart. It is the beginning of your journey back to proper conduct. Now, tell this court of your crimes. He is not asking you if you are guilty. He is asking you to tell him how you are guilty. The entire system is built on the absolute necessity of a confession. The Kugong, a case without a confession, is an incomplete, untidy thing. You are terrified, but the injustice of the exaggerated complaint gives you a flicker of courage. Honorable Master, you begin, your voice trembling, your head bowed low. This worthless one is a loyal subject of the Emperor and a peaceful man. There was a disagreement with my neighbor. It is true, a matter of a few inches of land. But these other accusations, they are not true. I am not a thief. I am not a ruffian. You are mounting a vigorous defense of your innocence. The magistrate finds your refusal to immediately confess to be deeply disrespectful and is now threatening to have you beaten with bamboo sticks. Your defense is not going well. The magistrate listens, his expression unchanged. He makes a small gesture with his hand, and his clerk begins to question your neighbor. The accuser, the neighbor, emboldened by the setting, launches into a long, tearful, and highly embellished account of your supposed campaign of terror against him. He presents himself as a humble, honest man, constantly victimized by your aggression. You want to shout out that he is lying, that he is twisting the story, but you do not dare. You have no right to question him. His testimony is heard in silence and is recorded by the clerk as fact. Then, the magistrate turns his attention back to you. He begins to question you, his voice still calm, but his questions are like a series of carefully set traps. He asks about the specific words that were exchanged during your argument. He asks about your family, your business, your history in the town. He is not just gathering facts. He is testing you, looking for any inconsistency, any hesitation, any slip of the tongue that he can interpret as a sign of a deceitful heart. If you are deceitful about a small thing, he will reason. You are surely deceitful about the larger crime. This is the nature of a trial before the magistrate. He is all-powerful. He directs the investigation, he questions the witnesses, he interrogates the accused, and he will deliver the final verdict. There is no concept of a separation of powers here. He is the living embodiment of the law. Legal historians of the future will debate this system. Was it a sophisticated, if authoritarian, system of justice, guided by the vast and detailed Qing code and the moral principles of Confucianism? Or was it simply a system of arbitrary personal power, where the fate of an accused man depended entirely on the temperament, the biases, and the potential corruptibility of a single, all-powerful official lying prostrate on the cold stone floor of the yamen? You are a living data point in that debate. You continue to deny the worst of the charges. You admit to the argument, but you insist it was a simple dispute that got out of hand. You try to explain your side of the story. The magistrate listens, tapping his long fingernails on the surface of his desk. He seems to be growing impatient. Your denials are not a legitimate defense in his eyes. They are a sign of stubbornness. They show that you do not have a properly repentant heart. You are not just a lawbreaker. You are a man who refuses to acknowledge his moral failings. And this is a deeper crime. It seems the prisoner's memory is clouded by his own arrogance, the magistrate finally says, his voice taking on a cold, hard edge. He looks at you, and for the first time, you see a flash of real anger in his eyes. He does not wish to confess his disruption of the harmony of this community. He does not wish to take the first step towards rehabilitation. He picks up a small wooden block from his desk, a kind of gavel. Perhaps his memory needs to be encouraged. He slams the block down. The sharp crack echoes through the hall. Take this stubborn prisoner to the interrogation yard. He commands the yamen runners. He is unwilling to speak the truth. We will use other means to persuade him. A new wave of terror, colder and sharper than before, washes over you. You have seen the interrogation yard. You have heard the cries from it. The trial of words is over. The trial of pain is about to begin. The runners grab you by the arms, their knuckles digging into your flesh, and they begin to drag you from the hall, back out into the courtyard, towards the place where confessions are extracted with tools other than questions. You are dragged from the audience hall, your arms pinned by the rough hands of the yamen runners. The brief, terrifying formality of the courtroom is over, and you are now entering the raw, undisguised world of coercion that underpins it. They pull you across a dusty courtyard into a smaller, more private yard at the back of the yamen. This is the place where memory is encouraged. This is the place where the painful path to a confession begins. The yard is a stark, sun-baked square of beaten earth. In the center, there is a simple wooden frame. On one side, there is a rack displaying an array of unsettling-looking wooden and iron instruments. Another prisoner is already undergoing questioning. His muffled cries a grim soundtrack to the scene. This is not a hidden, secret dungeon. It is an open, functional part of the judicial process. A workshop for extracting the truth. The magistrate who judged you in the hall does not follow you out here. The application of judicial torture is a task beneath a scholar and a gentleman. He delegates it to his subordinates, the yamen runners, who approach the task with a bored, workmanlike efficiency. The magistrate may watch from a shaded veranda, observing the process, but he will not dirty his own hands. You are forced to your knees before the runners. One of them unrolls a scroll. It is your statement from the trial, your denials, your protestations of innocence. The master is displeased, the head runner says, his voice flat. He finds your heart to be hard and your tongue to be deceitful. He has authorized us to use the instruments to soften your heart and loosen your tongue. This is for your own good. A confession will cleanse your spirit. The pain is a necessary medicine for a stubborn soul. This is the grim, paternalistic justification for what is about to happen. Torture, or Qing, is a perfectly legal and routine part of a Qing Dynasty criminal investigation. The Great Qing Code, a vast and complex body of law, specifies exactly which instruments can be used, for which crimes, and for how long. The legal theory is that an innocent man, raised with the proper Confucian respect for his own body, a gift from his ancestors, would never allow it to be harmed. He would confess immediately to a crime he did not commit rather than suffer the dishonor of being beaten. Therefore, if you are willing to endure the pain, it is seen as irrefutable proof of your guilt, of your stubborn, unrepentant, and truly criminal nature. It's a fascinating theory that seems to have been invented by people who really enjoyed torturing people. The runners decide to begin with the most common and gentlest form of persuasion. The bamboo. You are forced to lie face down on the dusty ground. Your trousers are pulled down. A ritual of deep humiliation. Two runners hold your arms and shoulders down. Another stands over you, holding a long, flat slat of heavy bamboo. Will you confess your crimes against your neighbor in your disturbance of the town's harmony? The head runner asks in a bored monotone. I have told the truth. You gasp out. It was just an argument. The wrong answer. The runner says. He gives a signal. The man with the bamboo slat raises it high and brings it down with a sharp, explosive whack across the back of your thighs. A jolt of pure, white-hot fire rips through your body. The pain is stunning, shocking. It is not a sharp cut, but a deep, blunt, concussive agony that seems to shatter the very bones beneath. Before you can even process the first blow, the second one falls, then a third. You cry out, your face pressed into the dirt. The magistrate has authorized 20 blows of the heavy bamboo. Each one is a universe of pain. After the 10th blow, they stop. Your legs are a throbbing, trembling mass of fire. You can feel the skin breaking, the blood welling. Are you ready to confess now? Potter, the runner asks, his voice unchanged. Are you ready to admit the truth of your neighbor's petition? A part of you, the part that is just a screaming bundle of nerve endings? wants to yell, "Yes, yes, I'll say anything." But another part, a small, stubborn kernel of pride and indignation, holds on. He is lying. You manage to force out between sobs of pain. The runner sighs, as if you are a particularly slow and frustrating child. Very well, continue. The blows resume. By the time they have finished, you are barely conscious, your world a red haze of agony. You are hauled to your feet and thrown into a bucket of cold water. The shock revives you, but the water on your broken skin is a fresh torment. They drag you back before the headrunner. "Let us try a different kind of question," he says. He produces a small, ingenious-looking device made of wood and cord. This is the Jiagan, the finger squeezer. Your hand is forced into it. Small. Hard wooden dowels are placed between each of your fingers. The runner then begins to tighten the cords, pulling the dowels together, crushing your fingers against each other. The pressure is immense. The pain is a new kind of horror. A sharp, focused, and escalating agony that seems to bore right into the center of your being. It feels as if your bones are grinding against each other, threatening to splinter. It's a traditional device used to improve circulation and honesty. The main side effect is that you'll never be able to hold chopsticks again. And you'll confess to absolutely anything. The magistrate is a patient man, the runner says, his face close to yours as he tightens the cord another notch. But his patience has its limits. A confession will make the pain stop. A simple "I am guilty" will do. You look past him and see the magistrate on his veranda, fanning himself, watching the proceedings with a look of detached interest. There is no mercy there. There is only the implacable will of the state. A will that demands your submission. Your confession. Your mind begins to break. The pain is everything. The original crime. The dispute with your neighbor. Seems like a small, insignificant thing from another lifetime. The truth. Your innocence of the worst of the charges. Feels like a foolish luxury you can no longer afford. All that matters is making the pain stop. And so you surrender. "I confess." You gasp. The words a choked, broken sob. "I confess, I did it. It is all true. I confess." Instantly, the pressure on your hand is released. The torture stops. The runner pats you on the cheek, a gesture that is almost comradely. "You see," he says, "that wasn't so hard. The master will be pleased. You have finally decided to be truthful. You have finally started down the painful path to an honest confession. You are pulled to your feet and dragged back towards the main hall. You will be taken before the magistrate again, now that you have been properly persuaded. You will give him the confession he requires. You will admit to everything in your neighbor's petition. You will throw yourself on his mercy. Your body is broken, your spirit is shattered, and your will is no longer your own. Legal historians will later debate the reliability of a system so dependent on confessions extracted through these means. The Qing Code itself acknowledged the danger, requiring that confessions be coherent and backed by evidence. But how much corroboration was needed when a stubborn prisoner had finally admitted his guilt after a session in the interrogation yard? You are the living proof of the system's terrifying efficiency. It is a machine designed to produce confessions, and you are its latest product. You are thrown onto the stone floor at the foot of the magistrate's dais. "Well, Lin," the magistrate asks, his voice calm again. "Are you now ready to speak truthfully?" You look up at him through a haze of pain and tears. "I am guilty, honorable master." You whisper. "I am guilty of everything." The magistrate smiles. A thin, satisfied smile. "Good." He says, "Harmony is restored. Your painful path to confession is complete. Now begins the long, agonizing wait for your sentence. Your confession, extracted from you in the dust and pain of the interrogation yard, is a key that turns in the great, rusty lock of the Qing judicial machine. The first phase, the investigation, is over, the second phase, the punishment, now begins. But it does not begin with a swift sentence. It begins with a long, slow, and soul-crushing period of waiting, in a place that is a punishment in itself. You are taken from the relative activity of the Yamen courtyard and led to the prison proper, a separate, walled compound at the back. You have been thrown into the county jail, a filthy cage that the locals refer to with a grim accuracy as DU hell on earth. You are shoved through a heavy wooden gate into a crowded, stinking courtyard, and then into your new home. It is not a private cell, it is a large, communal cage, a pen made of thick wooden bars, its floor nothing but packed. Filthy earth. There are already 30 other men crammed into this space, a teeming mass of human misery. The air is thick, hot, and so foul it makes you gag. It is a complex bouquet of unwashed bodies, stale sweat, vomit, and the overpowering stench of the single. Overflowing waste bucket in the corner that serves as the latrine for everyone. Welcome to your new long-term residence. It's a charmingly communal cage with 30 of your closest new friends. The sanitation facilities are bring your own corner. And the decor is early squalor. You are the newcomer, and the other prisoners. A rough collection of thieves, debtors, and brawlers. Stare at you with dead, appraising eyes. A large, brutal-looking man, clearly the cage boss or Lao Tu, shoves you into the most undesirable corner, the one closest to the waste bucket. This is the brutal, unspoken hierarchy of the cage, and as the weakest and the newest, you are at the very bottom. Your new life is a monotonous cycle of hunger and filth. The official prison ration, you quickly learn, is a joke, a form of slow-motion starvation. Once a day, a guard shoves a wooden bucket of watery, gray rice gruel or congee. Through the bars, a mad scramble ensues as everyone tries to get their share. The cage boss and his cronies taking the lion's share, leaving you with little more than a few spoonfuls of tasteless, watery starch. This is the central reality of the Qing prison system. It is a business. The jailers and the guards are poorly paid, and they make their living through a systematic and brutal extortion of the prisoners and their families. Everything here has a price. To survive. You are not dependent on the state. You are dependent on the financial resources of your family. The prison guards are very dedicated to your well-being. They will make sure you are well-fed and not beaten. Provided your family maintains a regular and generous schedule of donations to the guards' wellness fund. A few days after your arrival, your wife is permitted to visit. She comes to the bars of the cage, her face pale and thin with worry. The public shame of your conviction has already made her a pariah in the town. She has brought you a small package of rice cakes and a few vegetables. But to get them to you, she must first pay the guard. You watch as she discreetly passes a few copper coins into his outstretched hand, through his long, flowing sleeve, the water sleeve. As this constant stream of bribes is known, the guard then allows her to pass the food to you. It is the best meal you have had since your arrest, and every bite tastes of your family's ruin. She tells you, her voice a hushed, desperate whisper, that the guards have demanded a monthly payment to ensure you are not beaten, and that you continue to receive the food she brings. They have demanded money for the water you drink, for the straw you sleep on. Your imprisonment is a devastating financial drain on your family, a slow bleeding of their meager resources, designed to leave them as broken and destitute as you are. Historians will later debate this. Was this systemic corruption a flaw, a sign of a weak state unable to manage its own prisons, or was it an intentional, if unofficial, part of the punishment, a way to destroy not just the criminal but his entire family? A terrible lesson for all to see. The days crawl by, each one identical to the last. The filth is inescapable, and you're covered in it. And with the filth come the vermin. Your ragged clothes and the filthy straw on the floor are infested with lice. The constant, Maddening itching is a minor torment that never ceases. At night, you can feel the rats scurrying over you in the darkness. The lice, are more than just an annoyance. They are carriers of jail fever or typhus. You see its work all around you. A man who seemed healthy one day develops a high fever and a rash the next. He becomes delirious, his body racked with tremors. And within a week, he is dead. His body is unceremoniously dragged from the cage by the runners. There is no prayer, no record. He has simply vanished. You live in constant, close proximity to death, and you know that your own end could come not from the executioner's sword, but from the bite of a tiny insect. You listen to the stories of the other prisoners, men who have been here for years, their cases lost in the slow, grinding bureaucracy of the legal system, men who, like you, confess to crimes they did not commit under torture. Men who were falsely accused by a business rival or a jealous neighbor. You hear stories of incredible injustice and casual cruelty. These stories do not give you comfort. They only deepen your sense of hopelessness. There is no work to do, no books to read, nothing to occupy your mind but the misery of your own condition and the sounds of the prison around you, the rattling of chains, the shouts of the guards, the low moans of the sick, the endless, quiet scratching of the rats in the walls. The boredom is a heavy, suffocating thing, a different kind of torture from the sharp. Physical pain of the interrogation yard. You are here because, after your confession, the magistrate sentenced you for your crimes, but for a capital offense, a crime punishable by death. His sentence is not the final word. The Great. Centralized Qing legal system has a process of automatic review. Your case, along with every other capital case in the province, has been written up in a detailed report by the magistrate's clerks and sent on the long journey to the provincial capital, and from there to the imperial capital, Beijing, there in a great annual legal review known as the Autumn Assizes. Your fate will be decided. High officials of the Board of Punishments, or even the Emperor himself, will review the records of your case. They will read your forced confession. They will see the magistrate's recommendation, and they will make a final judgment. This process is designed to prevent the wrongful execution of an innocent man, a sign of the Emperor's benevolent and cautious rule. But for you, it is simply a prolonged and agonizing period of uncertainty. You're just waiting for your sentence to be reviewed by the higher courts. This process can take many months, which is great because it gives you plenty of time to really soak in the unique atmosphere of the prison and maybe catch a fun new disease like typhus. You wait through the heat of the summer, your body growing weaker, your spirit growing dimmer. You wait through the autumn, and then, one day in early winter, a runner arrives at your cage. He carries a dispatch, an official document bearing the seal of the provincial court. The judgment from the Autumn Assizes has come down. The guards pull you from the cage. You are cleaned up. Slightly. You are brought once more into the great hall of the yamen and forced to your knees before the magistrate. He looks down at you, his face as impassive as ever. He holds up the official dispatch, the case of the potter. Lin, he announces, his voice echoing in the hall. The confession has been reviewed. The evidence has been weighed. The sentence has been confirmed by the Board of Punishments and approved by the grace of the Emperor. He pauses, letting the weight of the moment settle upon you. You have been found guilty of being a public nuisance, of bringing disharmony to your community through your violent and deceitful actions. He looks directly at you. The sentence is death. The words hang in the air. Death. You knew it was a possibility, but to hear it spoken, to have it made official and real, is a cold, final blow. The waiting in your filthy cage is over. The next, and final, period of waiting can now begin. The wait for the executioner. The magistrate's words fall upon the silent hall like a headsman's axe. The sentence is death. The words are simple, but they unmake your world. You are no longer just a prisoner, a man in trouble. You are a dead man. The only thing left to be decided is the date and the method. You are hauled back to the county jail, but not to the same crowded, chaotic cage as before. You are now taken to a more isolated section of the prison, a row of smaller, darker cells reserved for the condemned. This is the death row of the yamen. The atmosphere here is different. The noisy desperation of the main prison is replaced by a thick, heavy, and profound silence. Your fellow inmates are men who have also seen the Emperor's red mark on their final papers. They are men without hope. They spend their days in a state of quiet, listless despair, waiting for the end. As you sit in the gloom of your new cell, you begin to truly contemplate the nature of your sentence. The magistrate has decreed that you are to be executed by decapitation. Jean, in your culture, this is not a quick and merciful end. It is a sentence of profound and everlasting shame. This is a truth that runs deeper than the simple fear of death. It is rooted in your most sacred beliefs, in the teachings of the great sage Confucius on filial piety. Your body, you have been taught since you were a child, is not your own. It is a gift from your parents and your ancestors. It is your sacred duty to care for it and to return it to the grave whole. Just as you received it, to have your body mutilated, to have your head severed from your neck, is to fail in your most fundamental duty as a son. It is an act of supreme dishonor, not just to yourself, but to every generation of your family that came before you. You will become an incomplete spirit, a hungry ghost. You will be unable to receive the proper veneration from your descendants at the family's ancestral shrine. Your tablet will not be placed there. You will be cut off from your own lineage, a lost and disgraced soul, wandering the spirit world for eternity without a complete form. The magistrate has not just sentenced you to death, he has sentenced you to an eternity of shame. This, you understand, is a deliberate and essential part of the punishment. It is a terror designed to be even greater than death itself. The days and weeks of waiting begin. This is a new and more refined kind of torture. In the main jail, there was at least the faint, desperate hope that your case might be overturned, that your sentence might be reduced now. There is only the certainty of the end. You have been through the autumn assizes. The Emperor's will is known. There are no more appeals. Your family is allowed to visit more often now. An act of pity from the jailers who are still being paid handsomely for the privilege. They bring you better food. Your wife brings you small rice cakes. Your son brings you a piece of sweet fruit. You eat. But the food has no taste. You look at their faces, etched with a grief so deep it seems to have aged them by decades. You know that your dishonorable death will be a stain upon them, a shame they will have to carry for the rest of their lives. This is your final, terrible gift to the family you were supposed to honor and protect. One day, you hear a commotion in the Yamen courtyard. A courier has arrived from the provincial capital. He carries the final death warrants, the scrolls with the Emperor's vermilion checkmark. The final, irreversible command. You hear the guards talking. The executions are to be held in 3 days' time. The final 3 days of your life are a blur. The world seems distant, unreal. You spend your time in a fog of memory and regret. You think of your small pottery shop, of the feel of the wet clay spinning under your hands. You think of your wedding day. You think of the first time you held your son. These small, simple moments of your ordinary life now seem like treasures from a lost and impossibly beautiful world. On the morning of your execution, you are given a final act of imperial benevolence. You are provided with a last meal. It is a surprisingly lavish affair, a bowl of pork and noodles, a few steamed buns, and a small pot of strong rice wine. This is not just an act of mercy, it has a practical purpose. The authorities want you to be strong enough to walk to the execution ground with a semblance of dignity. A prisoner who collapses from fear or weakness would spoil the solemnity and the theatrical power of the event. You eat the food, and you drink the wine. The alcohol does not numb your fear, but it casts a strange, detached calm over you. After the meal, you are led out into the main courtyard. A wooden plaque is hung around your neck. On it is written your name and your crime. For all to see, your hands are tied tightly behind your back. You are then placed in a rough wooden cart, along with several other condemned men. The great gates of the yamen are opened, and your procession into the world of the living begins. The journey to the execution ground is the final stage of your public humiliation. The cart rattles through the town's main street. The entire population has turned out to watch. The crowd is a sea of silent, staring faces. They are not here to celebrate. Not like a crowd at a festival. They are here to witness a solemn, terrifying lesson. This is the ultimate demonstration of the power of the law, the power of the magistrate, the power of the emperor. This is what happens to those who disrupt the harmony of the world. You see your neighbors, the people you have known your whole life. They do not meet your eyes. You see the faces of your own family in the crowd, their faces streaked with tears, a portrait of utter devastation. You close your eyes, you want it to be over. The execution ground is a large, open field near the marketplace, a place where the maximum number of people can witness the event. A temporary stage has been erected in the center of it. A single wooden post is driven into the ground. You are hauled from the cart and dragged onto the stage. You are forced to your knees, your back to the post. The crowd is a silent, waiting beast. The magistrate is here, watching from a covered pavilion. To ensure everything is done according to protocol, the executioner makes his appearance. He is not a masked man hiding his identity. He is a state functionary, a professional. He might be a soldier from the local garrison. He is powerfully built, his expression impassive. He holds his sword, a heavy, broad-bladed weapon designed for a single purpose. He drinks a cup of wine, a small ritual to steady his own nerves, and then he tests the blade's sharpness on a piece of paper. Your sentence is read aloud one last time to the assembled crowd. You are forced to bow your head, your long queue. The Manchu braid of hair that is a symbol of your submission to the Qing Dynasty is pulled up and held out of the way, exposing your neck. You kneel in the dust. You can hear the breathing of the crowd. You can smell the scent of the street food from the nearby market. The world has become a collection of incredibly sharp, small details. You think of your son. You hope he will remember you, not from this moment of shame, but from the days you spent together in your small shop. You hear a sharp intake of breath from the crowd. You feel a sudden, cold wind on the back of your neck as the sword is raised high, and then there is only darkness. Your story ends here, in a moment of public shame and swift, terrible violence. Your head will be placed in a small cage and hung from the town gates. A final, grisly warning to all who pass. You have become a lesson. Your body is broken. Your connection to your ancestors is severed, and your name is now a synonym for disgrace. But what if your crime had been different? What if the emperor, in his wisdom, had decreed that your body should remain whole? What if you had been granted the mercy of the silken cord? Your story ends there, in a flash of steel and a moment of public shame. Your head held up for the crowd to see. Your connection to the world of your ancestors is severed. But that was one path, one judgment for one type of crime. The great and complex legal code of the Qing Dynasty is a vast and intricate machine. With a different track for every transgression, what if your crime had been different? What if, while still a capital offense, it was one considered less disruptive to the social order? Or what if you were not a simple potter, but a man of some minor scholarly rank? A man for whom the ultimate disgrace of bodily mutilation was deemed unseemly. What if the emperor, in his review of your case at the autumn assizes, had dipped his brush not in the ink that confirmed your decapitation, but in the ink that granted you a small, but profoundly significant, measure of imperial mercy? Let us imagine this new reality. You are still a condemned man in the county jail. The final verdict still arrives. You are still brought before the magistrate in the great hall. He still reads your sentence. His voice a flat, official drone. But the final word he speaks is different. The sentence is not Jean, decapitation. It is Jiao, strangulation. A quiet gasp might ripple through the onlookers in the hall. You, kneeling on the floor, feel a strange, dizzying wave of profound relief wash over you. A feeling so intense it almost makes you faint. It is a bizarre reaction to a death sentence. But in your world, it makes perfect sense. You're still going to die, but you are going to die whole. Your body, you have been taught, is a sacred legacy. It is the final and most precious gift from your parents, who received it from their parents. In an unbroken chain stretching back to the beginning of time, your duty, your filial piety, requires you to return that gift to the earth and to your ancestors intact. Decapitation is a horrific spiritual wound. It makes you an incomplete ghost, a being of eternal shame. But strangulation leaves your body whole. Your neck will be broken. Your breath will be stolen. But your form will be complete. Your family will be able to give you a proper burial. Your spirit will be able to find its way to the afterlife and be venerated. You have been sentenced to death, but you have been granted the mercy of a good death. It's the premium death package. You get to keep your head. You just won't be able to use it for anything. Like breathing. The days leading up to your execution are different this time. There is still the deep, cold fear of the end, but it is not laced with the same frantic terror of disgrace. Your family visits, and while their grief is immense, there is a quiet dignity to it. They are not planning for your shame, but for your proper departure from the world. The execution itself is not the same kind of public circus. It is not held in the bustling marketplace. It is a more solemn, more private affair, often conducted within the prison walls or in a designated quiet courtyard, away from the gaze of the common mob. The goal is not to make a spectacle of your mutilation, but to carry out the emperor's sentence with a grim and orderly decorum. On the appointed day, you are given your last meal, your last taste of rice wine. You are then led out into a quiet, gray courtyard. A simple wooden post or frame has been set up. You see the two executioners, their faces impassive. They are not holding a great, gleaming sword. They are holding a length of strong cord, perhaps made of silk, with a wooden handle, a toggle, fixed at its midpoint. This is the tool for the Qing, the formal strangulation. You are tied securely to the post, facing it. The cord is looped around your neck from behind. The two executioners take their positions, one on each side of you. They each grip one end of the wooden handle that is tied to the cord. The magistrate is present, along with a few clerks and guards. To witness and record the event, the atmosphere is not one of bloodlust, but of somber. Bureaucratic procedure. The magistrate gives the signal. The executioners begin to twist the wooden handle. The cord tightens around your throat. It is not a sudden, violent snap. It is a slow, steady, and inexorable pressure. Your first instinct is to struggle, to gasp for air, but your arms are bound. The pressure increases. Your airway is crushed. You cannot breathe. A roaring sound begins to fill your ears. The sound of your own body dying. Your vision begins to narrow. The edges of the gray courtyard turning dark. You feel a great, crushing weight on your chest. Your lungs burn. Your mind, in its last moments, is a kaleidoscope of terror and a strange, quiet gratitude for the wholeness of your own body. You think of your ancestral tablet, and you know that your name will not be struck from it in shame. The pressure becomes absolute, and then the world dissolves into a final, suffocating blackness. You have been executed with mercy. Your body is left intact, a final gift to your grieving family. It is a terrible end, but it is one that preserves the honor of your lineage. This was the justice reserved for the fortunate, the well-connected, or those whose crimes did not sufficiently outrage the cosmic and social order. It's very important to your family that you die with honor. This means dying without any major parts being detached. It's a low bar for honor, but in your current situation, you'll take it. Historians will debate the subtle gradations of this system. They will ask how a magistrate or a distant official in Beijing made these fine distinctions. Was the quality of your death dependent on the precise nature of your crime as written in the Great Qing Code? Or was it influenced by your social status, by a well-placed bribe from your family, or by the personal moral judgment of the men who held your fate in their hands? But you will not be a part of that debate. Your story, in this timeline, has ended in a quiet, breathless darkness, but your crime was a common one. Your transgression against harmony a minor one? What if your crime had been the greatest, most unforgivable crime imaginable? What if you had raised your hand not against a neighbor, but against your own father, or against the emperor himself for such crimes? There is no mercy. There is no honor. There is only a punishment so terrible it was designed to obliterate you from the memory of man and the company of the gods. For such a crime, there is only lingqi. You have been sentenced to death. A merciful death that preserves the wholeness of your body for your ancestors. But that mercy has its limits. It is reserved for crimes that, while serious, do not tear at the very fabric of the cosmos. It is for men whose transgression was against the law, but not against the fundamental pillars of the world, the family and the emperor. Let us imagine, then, a different path for you, a darker path. Let us imagine your crime was not a petty dispute with a neighbor. Let us imagine you were part of a secret society, plotting rebellion against the local governor, an act of high treason against the dragon throne itself. Or perhaps you committed the most unthinkable of all sins, raising your hand against your own father, an act of parricide that shatters the sacred laws of filial piety. For these crimes, the 10 abominations. There is no honor in death. There is no concern for the integrity of your body or the peace of your ancestral spirit. For these crimes, the law requires not just your death, but your complete and utter annihilation. The sentence you receive is the most terrible in the vast and creative arsenal of the Qing Code. The magistrate sentences you to lingqi, the lingering death. Death by 1,000 cuts. The words themselves seem to suck the air from the hall. The crowd, which might have murmured with some small sympathy for a common criminal, is now dead silent, their faces a mask of righteous horror. You are no longer just a lawbreaker. You are a monster, a cancerous tumor on the body of the empire that must be excised in the most painful and exemplary way possible. Your time on death row is a new kind of hell. You are kept in absolute isolation. Even the other condemned prisoners, the murderers and the bandits, shrink from you. The guards treat you with a mixture of contempt and fear, as if your very presence is a source of profound spiritual pollution. You are a living ghost, already erased from the world of men, waiting only for your physical form to be unmade. The day of your execution is a great and terrible public holiday. It is a major spectacle, designed to be witnessed by as many people as possible on the morning of the event. You are not given the customary hearty meal and wine. Instead, a jailer brings you a small, dark ball of opium. This is your final, cruel mercy. It is not meant to ease your suffering. It is meant to prolong it, to keep you conscious and alive as long as possible, to prevent you from dying of shock before the executioner's work is complete. The lesson must be taught, and you are the textbook. You are led out into the courtyard. You are stripped to a simple loincloth. You are tied to a wooden frame or post in the center of the execution ground. A large public square? A great crowd has gathered. Their faces a sea of morbid fascination and grim satisfaction. They are here to see harmony restored, to see the ultimate transgression receive the ultimate punishment. The executioner makes his way through the crowd. He is a specialist, a man whose trade is the methodical deconstruction of the human body. He carries a small box containing a set of very sharp knives. The magistrate, or another high official, stands before the crowd and reads your crimes aloud, his voice booming, explaining to the assembled masses why this terrible punishment is necessary, why it is just, and then the process begins. This is not a frenzied attack. It is a slow, deliberate, and highly ritualized procedure. The horror of Lingqi is not in its speed, but in its agonizing slowness. It is a living death. To describe the act itself would be to dwell on a level of gore that is beyond the scope of this telling. The PG-13 nature of our journey requires us to turn our gaze slightly, to focus not on the raw, visceral details, but on the terrible meaning behind them, on the atmosphere, and on your own dissolving consciousness. You, in your opium-induced haze, feel things as if from a great distance. The world is a blurry, dreamlike spectacle. The roar of the crowd is a dull hum. The pain from the executioner's knives is a series of sharp, distant jolts, like lightning strikes on a faraway hill. You are detached, a spectator at your own destruction. The executioner's work is symbolic. He is a priest performing a terrible sacrament. With each cut, he is removing the part of you that sinned. He might make a cut on your arm, and the magistrate might announce, "This is for the arm that was raised against his father." A cut near your eyes. For the eyes that looked upon the emperor's representative with treasonous intent. A cut on your chest. For the heart that harbored black rebellion. It is a piece of grim, political theater, performed on the stage of your own body. You hear the crowd. Some people are shouting curses at you. Others are watching in a silent, horrified trance. In some historical accounts of Lingqi, it is said that small pieces of flesh cut from the traitor's body were sometimes sold or given to members of the crowd, who believed that consuming the essence of such a powerful transgressor could be a source of medicine or a potent talisman. This is the depth of the ritual. Your very being is being symbolically consumed and dispersed by the community you tried to harm. Historians will later debate the reality of this punishment, separating it from the lurid, often xenophobic accounts of early Western travelers who were both horrified and fascinated by it. Was it truly 1,000 cuts, or was that number symbolic, meaning innumerable? How often was it truly carried out? The records are sparse, as this was a punishment for the most extreme of cases, but the reality is that it existed. It was the ultimate expression of the state's power over the individual. A power not just to kill the body, but to annihilate the soul and erase the person from existence. You drift in and out of consciousness. The pain becomes a white noise, a constant, meaningless static. Your life is no longer a story. It is a series of disconnected, agonizing sensations. You're being unmade, piece by piece. And finally, after an eternity of this slow, methodical destruction, the executioner is given the signal for the final act. He takes a larger knife and makes the final. Merciful thrust to the heart. Your suffering is over, but the lesson is not. Your dismembered body might be put on display, its various parts exhibited in different parts of the town as a final. Gruesome warning. Your name is now a curse, a word used to frighten children. Your family is disgraced for generations, forced to live with the indelible stain of your ultimate crime. You have not just been killed. You have been erased. Your story, your body, your memory, your connection to your ancestors all have been systematically and publicly destroyed. You are less than a ghost. You are nothing. You are a lesson, written in blood and pain. On the absolute and terrifying power of the Emperor, your story could have ended in many ways, each one a different station on the terrible path of Qing justice. It could have ended in a flash of steel, your head separated from your body, Your spirit cast out from the company of your ancestors. It could have ended in the quiet, suffocating embrace of a silken cord, a death of grim mercy. Or it could have ended in the ultimate, unimaginable terror of Lingqi, your very being unmade before a horrified crowd. But for this final chapter, let us take one last step back. You are no longer the condemned. Your journey through the Yamen is over. Now, you are one of the crowd. You are a law-abiding subject of the great Qing. You are a shopkeeper who has closed his stall for the afternoon, a farmer who has come into town for the market, a scholar on his way to the tea house. You have been brought here, along with the rest of the town, by a mixture of official compulsion and morbid curiosity. To witness the final act, you are here to see the sentence carried out. You are here to learn the lesson. The execution ground is a noisy, bustling, and strangely festive place. It is a field just outside the main city gate, deliberately chosen for its visibility. Today is a day of punishment, and punishment is a public spectacle, a form of mass communication in a largely illiterate world. This is not a solemn, hidden affair. It is a civic event. There are vendors selling melon seeds and sweet rice cakes. Children dart through the legs of the crowd. People greet each other and exchange gossip. It is a holiday, of a sort. A holiday of grim and terrible instruction. You find a place in the dense, jostling crowd, close enough to see the low wooden stage that has been erected. You wait. The atmosphere is a strange mixture of anticipation, of nervous excitement, and of a deep, underlying fear. Then, you hear a gong. The crowd parts, and the procession arrives from the Yamen. It is a slow, deliberate parade of state power. First come the runners, striking gongs and shouting for the crowd to make way. Then come the condemned, trundling in rough wooden carts, their hands bound behind them, a wooden plaque hanging from each of their necks. Detailing their name and their crime in bold black calligraphy, you watch them pass. You see the man convicted of banditry, his face a mask of defiance. You see the woman convicted of adultery, her face a blank canvas of shame. You see the man, your neighbor the potter from another story, his face a landscape of pure, hollowed-out terror. The crowd murmurs, people pointing, whispering. That's the one who killed his wife. That one was a salt smuggler. You are a part of this collective judgment. You are a witness for the state. The prisoners are hauled onto the stage. They are forced to their knees. Facing the crowd, the magistrate arrives and takes his seat in a covered pavilion set up near the stage. He is here to ensure the law is carried out with due ceremony. An official steps forward and reads the imperial edict, the results of the autumn assizes. He reads the name of each prisoner and the details of their crime and their sentence. It is a long, monotonous, and highly ritualized process. This is the very purpose of the spectacle. It is a public reaffirmation of the social and moral order. It is a lesson for you and for everyone assembled here. The lesson is simple. This is what happens to those who disrupt the harmony. This is what happens to those who defy the law of the emperor. This is the power of the state, made manifest in the most brutal and undeniable way possible. Historians will call it political theater, a way for a state that lacked a modern police force to maintain control through spectacular displays of terror. You only know that it is terrifyingly effective. The sentences are read. The lesser criminals are sentenced to beatings or exile. Then comes the man you recognize, the potter. The official announces his crime disturbing the harmony. Assaulting a neighbor and is sentenced death by decapitation. He is dragged to the center of the stage. He is forced to his knees. His queue is pulled up, exposing his neck. The crowd falls silent. A child who was laughing a moment ago is quickly shushed by its mother. The executioner steps forward, his great, broad-bladed sword gleaming in the sun. You watch, mesmerized by the terrible gravity of the moment. You do not want to see it, but you cannot look away. You are compelled to witness it. This is part of your duty as a subject, to see, to remember, and to fear. There is a flash of movement, a glint of sunlight on steel. A collective gasp runs through the crowd. It is over in an instant. A life is extinguished. The executioner holds up the head for all to see. A final, grisly confirmation that justice has been done. The show is over. The lesson has been taught. The crowd begins to break up, the murmuring and the chatter resuming almost immediately. People begin to drift back towards the market, back to their daily lives. The food vendors resume their calls. The spectacle of death is quickly reabsorbed into the ordinary rhythm of life. You walk away. The image of that final, terrible moment burned into your mind. You feel a mixture of emotions: pity for the condemned man, a deep and abiding fear of the magistrate's power, and a renewed, powerful sense of the importance of living a quiet, orderly, and inconspicuous life. You will be more careful in your business dealings. You will not argue with your neighbors. You will keep your head down. You will obey. The chicken has been killed. And you, the monkey, have been well and truly scared. The system has worked. The execution ground fades. The sounds of the crowd, the chilling finality of the magistrate's sentence, all dissolve into the quiet of the past. Let the grim spectacle recede, and bring your awareness back to the gentle safety of your own space. The world of Qing Dynasty justice, with its rigid codes and its terrible warnings, is a distant, sleeping story. You are here, now, in a world where justice, however imperfect, is no longer a public blood sport. You are in a world where your life is your own, protected by laws that see you as a citizen, not just a subject. Feel the profound peace in that simple fact. Your own day is at its end. The trials and judgments of your own life are over for now. There is no sentence to be feared, no public shame to be endured. There is only the quiet, personal, and merciful verdict of the night, which sentences you to a period of deep and restorative rest. Let go of the story. Let go of the tension, the fear, the grim finality. Allow your body to feel its own weight, the comforting pressure of your bed, the gentle touch of your blanket. Listen to the sound of your own quiet breathing. Let it be a soft, rhythmic reminder of your own life, your own peace. Allow the last of your thoughts to disperse, and let the quiet, dreamless dark welcome you into a deep and healing sleep.